Guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I have a project pan update for you guys. I just spilled my entire bottle of water all over my desk, and my drawer was open where I keep like my phone chargers and my pens and my pencils, and just like filled that drawer with water. It's a good way to start the day. Okay, so diving into our project pan update, it is July 2023, and I have some exciting updates for you guys. I have some good progress on some products, I have some slow progress on some products, and I have a few things, two things entering the project, and I'll mention those at the end of the video. Okay, so starting with the Smashbox contour palette. I mentioned in the last video that I thought this shade was going to be done really soon, and it is. So I finished up the banana powder in this little trio set. I'm almost done with the bronzer. It's really getting to the point where I did use it as my bronzer today on the face, but I really had a hard time picking it up with my brush. So I think it's getting to a point now where it's a crease color. There's not enough product there for me to bother repressing it. It'll be used up pretty quickly using it as like a crease color, transition color when I'm doing my eye look. So I have been using this in a lot of ways, as I've mentioned in the previous videos. In addition to using it obviously as a contour palette on the face, I've also been using it on the eyes. I've also been using the contour color in the brows sometimes. Right now my brows are freshly tinted and laminated, so I just have a clear brow gel in there right now. But when my tint starts to fade off, I have been using this quite often in my eyebrows because it's a really nice like ashy shade for me, which is pretty much what I look for. So we're making good progress. You know, we've expanded the pan in the contour color, but that one's definitely going to take me probably the entire year to use up, if I can even use it up within the year. But I'm thinking this one will probably be gone. The bronzer color will probably be gone by the next check-in. As what happened with the banana powder, once you sort of get to like a really thin ring around, all of a sudden it'll just kind of crumble and then you've only got a couple of uses before it's just like on your lap instead of on your brush. So that one's going really well. I knew that that was going to be like a long haul product when I entered it into the project at the beginning. This year I wasn't super focused on what products I could use up the fastest, so much as I was focused on giving myself like a core group of products that I could default to when I didn't want to think about what I was putting on my face in the morning. So that's been working out really well for me. Let's talk about the Pure Concealer. This is the Disappearing Act Concealer in the shade Light. I haven't been using this one as much since the last check-in because, as you can see, I've got a pretty decent tan for me right now, and this shade is much too light for me to use on the face as a spot corrector, which is how I had been using it. You don't want to be covering your blemishes with a concealer that's too light because it's almost like highlighting the blemish. However, I have occasionally just kind of like dipped my finger in and tapped underneath of the eyes on days where I'm not wearing any makeup and I have pretty dark circles underneath of my eyes. So if I just want a little something underneath, this has been working really well for that. But I know once the fall comes and I start getting paler again, I'll go back to using this every day. So the progress on this one is going to slow down for the summer, but it'll ramp back up in the fall and winter once we sort of change over to the colder weather again. I did want to update you guys and let you know that I did finish up the Mary Luminizer. I'm sure if you watched the last video, you knew that was going to happen really quickly, but this was the highlighter that lasted forever, even though it was just like a deluxe size sample. I did finally use this one up, and I mentioned in the last video that I had just had like a little tiny corner left in this one. So I mentioned in that video that I was counting this one as done, and I had replaced it in the project with the Too Faced concealer, but I did want to show you guys that it is completely empty, and I did use that one up completely. And I have been working on the Too Faced multi-use sculpting concealer, as I mentioned in the last video, in the shade Almond. The lines have really worn off for the most part. You can see sort of a whisper of lines there, but we're sort of at the stage where there's no way really for me to track it because I'm using what's like stuck to the inside of the bottle, you know? There's no more product like within in this way. There's just product kind of stuck to the inside. But that being said, it's a large bottle. There's still, you know, lots of product in there. So I'm using this concealer every day. It's actually the only concealer that I have in my collection that matches me right now. All of the other concealers in my collection are too light at the moment. So this worked out perfectly to have this on hand to pull into the project for the summer. I'm hoping I'm gonna finish this up this summer, but I'm skeptical. If you've ever used this Too Faced concealer, there's so much product in here. It's such a big bottle and it's such a high coverage concealer. You really don't need a lot. So this is probably going to take, I'm probably going to use it until it's too dark for me, and then I don't know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. If it's still okay to roll into next year's project, I just don't know, but I can't imagine that I'm gonna actually be able to use this up before it doesn't match me anymore. So we'll see, but I am using it every day. I'm using it underneath of my eyes. I'm also using it on the face as a spot corrector as well. It's sort of working for me as my only concealer of the moment, and that's totally fine. It's working out great for me. The Alleyoop stack is going really good. So I told you guys in the last update that I had used up the bronzer. I had hit pan in the blush, and it is so close to being done. I've probably got like a week or two left of use in this, depending on how much I use it. I do have this on as my blush today. It's really, we're right down to the wire. It's like a very thin layer inside of there. So I have been using that really often. And this morning I hit pan in the highlight. So I do have this on as my highlight today. And I was like, oh my gosh, perfect timing. I'm filming my project pan today, and I hit pan in the highlight. I really didn't think that I would. This highlight is not my favorite highlight formula, but I have been using it, you know, more often than I would if it wasn't in the project pan, because I've got the blush right there. Sometimes I'm like, oh, well, I'll just throw this highlighter on here. So happy with that. I did say in the last video that when the blush is done, I'm gonna call this stack good. I'm not gonna keep it with just this one highlight in here and try to use it up. It's not my favorite highlight formula. It's fine, but the highlight formula is much stiffer than the blush and the bronzer formula that was in this stack. So I'm guessing in the next couple of weeks the blush will be done, and I'll decide then what I want to roll into the project. After that, I probably will take a break from blushes for a minute. I do, as I mentioned with the highlight, you know, when you're panning a highlight for like 2 years, after that, you just kind of want to try all your highlights after that. So once I'm done with this blush, I'll probably take a break from panning blushes and switch to something else to replace this when it's done. But definitely, there's like little dog hairs on everything. I'm so sorry if you can see that. I hope you can't see them on camera. There's hair on everything I own. But this will definitely be done soon. I think this will be my next empty in the next update. And then the primer I've been working on is the Merit Great Skin Instant Glow Serum. This is the one where you shake it up to get it to mix together. When I brought this into the project last check-in, it was basically a full bottle. So I have made really nice progress on this one. We started up here, we're all the way down here. I've been using this every day as my primer. This is my favorite type of primer to use, which is like primer plus skincare. This is like a hyaluronic acid serum that works well as a primer. As you can see, it gives you a nice glow. Maybe a little bit too glowy for this time of year. I don't know. I don't mind it. I could, you know, do one of these. But I don't mind it. I would rather be a little glowy than like a little cakey looking. So this has been working really well for me. I've been putting it all over my face before I apply my foundation. I even put it down my neck and onto my chest because it's got such nice skincare ingredients in there. So I'll definitely have this gone by the end of the year. But again, this was another like long haul product because it was a full bottle when I started this out in the project. So I think I'm making good progress on it. I'm really pleased with myself. I may even pull this into my skincare routine when I finish up the hyaluronic acid serum that I'm working on right now. We'll see, just to make better progress on it, but I'm really enjoying using it every day. It's working out really well for me, and this is one where I love it in the summertime because my skin tends to be a little bit more sensitive in the summertime, but I'm also going to love this in the fall and winter when my skin's a little bit more on the dry side. So that's been working out really well for me. Really enjoying panning that one. Now let's talk about my empties. So I did finish up the Chanel lip gloss. We're at that stage where I just got tired of scraping the inside of it. Maybe there's like one more use in there, but it's like the type of bottle where it's really hard to, and it's got the little brush tip applicator. So it's hard to, once you get down to like nothing, but we've really scraped the inside of that one. So use that one up completely. I'm really pleased with myself that I finally used this one up. This is one that had been in a project pan a couple of years ago, and then I took it out and I put it back in this year, and I finally used it up. I feel really good that I didn't let this like go bad in my collection, because as I mentioned in the last video, I used to have a tendency to hang on to my high-end products and not use them, like save them for special occasions, and I've really adopted the attitude of like every day is a special occasion. So I really enjoyed this. It was a really pretty pink lip gloss. It stayed on the lips really nicely. I didn't have to reapply it super often, so it lasted a really long time, much longer than the average lip gloss. However, Chanel is not a cruelty-free brand, so I'm also happy to have this out of my collection. I feel like I've done a good job this year of like moving out some of those last few things that I have had like lingering in my collection that are not cruelty free. So we've moved on from the Chanel lip gloss, and I have decided to replace it with the Merit lip oil in the shade Bel Air. I have this on my lips today with just a light pink lip liner. This one I think is going to go really quickly, so we're starting with basically a full tube of that. It's a super thin formula. The Merit lip oils are very thin. They're very much like, they feel like you've put just like a little wash of oil over your lips. They don't have that lip gloss feel that a lot of lip oils these days do have. So I can see using this up really quickly. It's gonna be in my purse. So whenever I just need to like throw something on my lips when I'm out and about, this is going to be the thing that I'm reaching for. So I'm hoping I'm going to get this one done relatively quickly, because it's also not like my absolute favorite formula, but I would like to use it up and move it out of the collection. I have tons of lip glosses and lip oils and things like that that we can work on in the project. I always like to have some lip gloss or lip oil in the project pan, because it's so easy to just toss it in my purse, use it every day. It's like an easy progress product. So I'm excited to see how quickly I can use that one up. And then I also used up the Merit, it's like a Merit project pan this year, but I did use up the Merit foundation stick. This is their Perfecting Complexion stick in the shade Bisque. I used this one up, but there's like a sad story attached to it. So I really love this foundation. I was really enjoying using it. I was really like loving using it right to the very end. And I had like the tiniest amount left on the stick. And I took it with me. I went like on an overnight trip with one of my girlfriends to like a Nordic spa, and we were doing our makeup after the spa to go out for dinner in the hotel, like in the hotel bathroom, and I'm putting this foundation stick on, and it broke off and landed on the floor of the bathroom of the hotel, and I just looked at her and I was like, well, that's that. So I didn't actually use up that last, half, I don't know, it was like a couple of millimeters left on this foundation stick. I was really disappointed, but I really wasn't going to pick it up off of the bathroom floor of a hotel and use it on my face. So that's the story with that. I did use it up completely, but not in the way that I thought that I was going to. So that one is done, and I have replaced it with another foundation in my collection, and this is the Purlisse Ageless Glow Serum BB Cream SPF 40. I got this in a BoxyCharm quite a while ago. It does have an expiry date on it for 2024, so there's still lots of time left on this one. I haven't put any markings on this one because it's really hard to see, like you can't see through it. I've held it up to the window, I've held it up to the light. I really can't see what's inside. It is a relatively new bottle. I haven't used this a ton. I would guess we're probably about here, but it's really hard to tell. Once we get a little further down, it'll be easier for me to tell when we get kind of down here, and I'll put some markings on it then. But I hate to put markings on just to like, for the sake of putting markings on the bottle. Just know that this is probably 3/4 of the way full. I do have this on my skin today. I have this in the shade Light, right? Yeah. I have this in the shade Light. It is a little bit too light for me right now, so I'm just mixing it with my Indeed Labs Nano Bronze drops. They're very similar to the Drunk Elephant De-Bronzy drops, so I'm just mixing it with that. I put the Merit Great Skin Serum all over my face. I let that soak in for a few minutes. I mix this with the Nano Bronze drops on the back of my hand, dot it all over the face, and then blend it in with a sponge. And I find that's the best application for this. If I apply this with a brush, it just looks heavy on the skin in a weird way. So I'm really liking that application with the sponge, surprisingly, because that's not my preferred way of putting foundation on, but that combo with the Too Faced concealer has just been like killing it. So that's what I have on my skin today. I think it looks really nice. I like that it has the SPF 40 in there. I'm layering it over top of my normal SPF, so I feel like I'm getting good sun protection for this time of year. So I'm thinking this one will probably take me in like through the fall to use up, because as I said, it's a pretty full bottle, but we'll see. It's also not a huge container, so we'll see how long this one takes, but I am really enjoying it in the meantime. And again, it's that whole core products thing. So I've got these like, you know, 3 products for the complexion that are working really well for me. I've got a blush that I think works for my complexion with a lot of different looks that I can grab at any point. I've got like a clear lip oil that goes with every look. You know, like it's just working out really well for me to have this like core group of products right there in my everyday makeup drawer. So really enjoying that, really enjoying this year's project pan. I feel like maybe it's not as interesting of a project pan because I've picked very basic products to work through. So I don't know if you guys are finding that with this or not, but I find it much more satisfying than like trying to pan, you know, an eyeshadow palette or a lipstick or something like that, where you just make such slow progress. These are products that I know I can work through on a reasonable, you know, at a reasonable rate. So really enjoying that for myself. I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. Let me know in the comments down below if you're working on a project pan. If you are, how is it going? If you aren't, have you panned any products sort of by accident? I always love to hear about that from you guys as well. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon in another video. Bye.